starting off, Evan and Amber are both brought to this task force, very different personalities. Can you tell me a little bit about their personalities and what their first impressions were of the other once they met up?
Oh, fun. They're
Mm.
pretty different. They're pretty different little spicy characters. I mean, Evan is the new girl. She's the youngest edition. She's got a lot to prove,
Mhm.
which I feel like is very, very different from Amber.
Yeah. Who feels she has nothing to prove to anyone but
Yes.
herself? Like, I don't have to prove it
And
to
don't you
anyone.
ask.
Right. I know what I'm capable of. I'm
Yes.
good. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yes, they're so different.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that, a lot oftentimes what can happen is female characters will be written to where they're in competition with each other or they don't get along. And Derek, I remember in maybe my first time speaking with him, he was like, I'm not interested in that.
Mhm.
Not like, they're not pitting each other against each other. They are a team. They're here to lift each other up. And there's one scene where there's like a moment of like, are you gonna? And then it's like, no, you know what? Respect.
Yeah.
And it clicked. And then
Yeah.
like, there's never been, a hitch
Uh-uh.
of like any kind of competition. Because why would there be?
Yeah.
Like, just because, we're both the same gender doesn't make any sense. Like,
Absolutely. And
lift each other up.
absolutely. I got to speak with a lot of law enforcement officers when I was doing research for the role, and a lot of women,
Hmm.
and it was awesome. And they were so inspiring. One of the biggest takeaways I took from it is like we women have to support one another,
Yeah.
especially in these worlds. It's so crucial to not be pitted against one another or not to see each other as competition, but like I got your back, you got mine. I'm gonna raise you up and you raise me up. And I love the opportunity to do that with women. And
Yeah. And I think
yeah,
community in general, there's no
yeah,
the friendly competition is one thing,
yeah,
like and that happened all day on
yeah,
set of like playing games and everything.
yeah,
But I think our whole cast, our whole crew, everybody just wanted to lift each other up. That was
absolutely.
the kind of end goal for all of us.
Hmm.
So they're brought to this task force under sort of mysterious circumstances. And as you mentioned, there's a couple of different personalities. But for your characters in particular, you get to push past the normal tough girl tropes. So, can you talk a little bit about what their impressions are of being asked to join this group with all of these specialties spread around?
Hmm. I think as happens in life when you're in a new situation, entering a new group, you don't know people. You're sussing them out. You're kind of just trying to, you know, measure people and assess them and kind of what is your intuition telling you about them. And I think certainly for Amber, she's super guarded. And that has always kept her safe. It's had to, in the world that she operates within, she's had to trust her instinct above all else. And I think the way that she has stayed in the game for so long is she's built a wall, a world of walls around her, And so I think it's just like, well, we'll see. Okay, nice to meet you. I'm cool. Like she doesn't come in with a chip on her shoulder, but she comes in guarded. Like we'll see. And she does. Bit by bit, they get to show exactly who they are and why they were chosen to be a part of this task force.
And I think something as big as the task that they're facing sort of ultimately forces them to rely on each
Yeah.
other in a really beautiful way. And
Takes the ego out of it.
takes the ego out of it. And Blythe, Eric Dane's character, his whole thing is be there for one another.
Yeah.
And I think we did that on and off screen.
Yeah.
So, last up, what was the most exciting thing that you felt like you learned about as far as crime goes through your character's lens and dealing with?
Ooh. Do you want me to
Ooh,
go first? You want
yeah,
me to go
go
first? Okay.
ahead.
I loved, truly, truly loved when I was doing all these interviews with DEA agents, former DEA agents, people who went undercover, police officers. I loved learning about what drives a person to pick this pursuit, and especially people who like to go undercover, who love to go undercover. What is your motivation? Like, why that? Because it's the ultimate acting job. You're acting for the highest stakes around, which is your life. One
Hmm.
wrong word, one miscalculation, and that could be the end for you as a person. So those stakes like are so high, but it's like they love the adrenaline. They love the thrill of not knowing what's going to come next. They love convincing people and staying in that world, and they love the excitement. And the passion that I discovered that was innate to so many of these people who chose this world was so intoxicating and inspiring. I loved
That's so
that.
cool.
Yeah.